Hi everybody, this is Katina and I am here with the Clarinet Project Live, Ask a Clarinet Teacher. I am trying a new mic today, so if you can't hear me, please say something in the chat. And I guess you would probably say something by now, hearing me and not being able, or at least seeing me talk and not being able to hear me. So I already have one question from Isaac. So first of all, hi Isaac, thank you for coming. And your question is excellent. It is, how long should I warm up for? And that really depends on you and your own playing. So for instance, if you're a new player and you are starting out with a smaller practice routine, such as 20 to 30 minutes, that's going to dictate how long you warm up for. If you haven't practiced in a long time and you're getting back into shape, that will also dictate how long you need to warm up for. Let's say you haven't played your clarinet in 30 years and you need to get back into playing, and that's also going to dictate how long you warm up for. All of that being said, that's assuming you're in peak health and you're not super stressed out and all sorts of things. So there are all these things that go into how long we should warm up for or how long we should practice for. So my suggestion for you, let's do a little math for it. Let's say you're practicing 30 minutes a day and minutes should be your warm up, and then you can go up more with each one of those. So what is that? 10%, 20%, it's like 50. So, and please correct my math. And when I was in college, I would give myself 30 minutes to an hour to warm up, and I really liked my warm up routine actually. I would get up around 7 o'clock in the morning, I would go to school, I'd get there around 7:30, I would warm up for 30 minutes or an hour, and then I would take a break, I would walk. I went to school in Florida, so I actually would go to the beach, and if I didn't have a class, that's kind of how I would spend my day. I would do an hour of warm up. It was a really nice me just to start my day because I find warm ups relaxing. So I would get into heavier practicing later on. Now, I'm actually running a warm-up session for the International Clarinet Association on Sunday morning, so it's really interesting that you asked that question. At 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time, I'm actually doing a seminar with the International Clarinet Association. ICA plays on. I put a little trailer about that in the YouTube channel. And please come, it's free. I mean, anybody can sign up for it. So we'll be talking more about warm-ups there, but I'll give you some of the things I'm going to talk about there right now because, we're exclusive. You guys are on the live stream. So let's say your practice routine is 30 minutes. I would start with 5. If you feel like you need to keep going, go for 10. Now, if you're getting back into shape, and I have definitely been there many times throughout my career, what I usually do, I play the long tones, right? I pick a good long tone warm-up, and then I gauge how my embouchure's doing because I'm trying to build that muscle strength back up. Or if I'm working on breathing again, because I had abdominal surgery 2 years ago, then I had to work on getting my breath up again too. So then I would gauge until I got tired. And I would put a timer on, and the moment I got tired, I would stop and I would see where I was with that timer. And so let's say it was 3 minutes for my warm-up, right? Then the next day I would try and add 1 more minute. And I would do that each day until I got to my goal. Now some days I couldn't make it that far, and that's okay. You've got to honor and respect your body. So some days aren't as good as other ones. But then I'd have a good day, and when I had a good day doing a warm-up, I would go a little bit further, especially if I was trying to build my strength back up until I hit my 10-minute mark or till I felt tired again. Now, one of the great things about using a timer when you're practicing warm-ups or long tone exercises is when it goes off, you can make that decision to stop. Because sometimes it's better to leave wanting more than it is to go too far and be angry and frustrated with it. So why don't you write in, Isaac, how long your practice sessions usually are, and I can give you an idea if you want me to. Hi Tyler, hi Zara, hi Mike, joining from New York City. Oh, that's fun. Yeah, that's been a new thing with all my Zoom calls and all my meetings I've been doing with people all over the world. We type in where we're from. So I'm from Virginia, so it's just fun to see where everybody's located. And then clarinet player, how does that work? Tell me more about how does that work, because sometimes I get your questions later on than from when I was talking. And then clarinet player said fun, and then Kiwi Melon says hi. So anyway, so the warm-ups, there's a lot that goes into that. And then the other one that I find really helpful with warm-ups is to actually have a goal before you go in there. So I'm still working on getting back into shape from playing. I had to take a lot of time off for work recently, so I'm doing that 5-minute goal. Can I get there with my embouchure in good shape for 5 minutes? And then I'll add a minute a day until I get to my goal of maybe 20 minutes or 30 minutes for a warm-up. The other thing with the warm-ups, with the goals, is that warm-ups can get boring. They can get really boring. So sometimes we're told to do warm-ups for the sake of warm-ups, and I really don't agree with that. I think you should gauge your warm-ups to what your overall playing goals are. So for instance, let's say you have a really hard lick in some of your music, and it's 16th notes. Take that 16th note passage and make all of those notes whole notes, and you can make that your warm-up. Or let's say your band director is saying, hey, your intonation is pretty out there, then get a drone and then practice a warm-up with the drone. Or get a tuner and practice the warm-up with the tuner. I'm actually thinking about putting some drones up on the YouTube channel so that we have some drones to tune with and just practice with, just to get that good intonation in our ears and in our minds. If you are working on breathing, you can actually do breathing exercises before each one of your warm-ups. So I find having a goal for warm-ups really helps. And then keeping in short little segments also helps keeping my mind focused, because I find warm-ups can get boring. My mind will wander, and when my mind wanders, then I'm no longer paying attention to my embouchure or my good hand position or my breathing and things like that. If you have a mirror, a full-length mirror, like one of those dress mirrors, great. That's what you want to practice in front of, because then you can be your own teacher even more. You can watch yourself and look for any bad habits. When I am using, when I'm teaching in schools and I don't have mirrors, I will flip this phone around just like I'm doing now, and I will work with students using the phone. So we really do have mirrors with us all the time if you have a smartphone with you. So that also is very helpful to be able to watch yourself. And another thing with warm-ups is record yourself doing the warm-ups and then go back and listen to it. You can give yourself a lesson, right? And it's really important to know what you want. So I suggest that you listen to famous clarinet players. There's so much content on YouTube that you can listen to all these great players, get a good concept in your mind, and then you can record yourself doing your warm-up and you can analyze it and be like, oh, you know what? I could sound prettier here, or I could do this a little bit better. So there's a lot of stuff we can do with warm-ups that's very proactive, instead of just having a band director say, you need 5 minutes of warm-up a day and then just doing the 5 minutes. You can actually really make it work for you and make it very efficient. All right, I'm going to get to some more. Okay, Isaac, so you're a 30 to 40 minute person. So depending on what your goals are and what you're working at that time can also gauge how long your warm-up is. So maybe a 5 to 10 minute warm-up, but if you have a really hard piece that you're learning, you may find that 30 to 40 minutes isn't enough. And so I would just stay with that 5 minute warm-up, really focus on what you need to do, and then dig into your piece. Maybe if you, and this is something I've definitely done, if I have some hard music that I need to learn, I will actually segment my practice sessions out through the day. So I will have that nice relaxing warm up in the morning, and then I will have an hour session to work on my piece, and then I'll have another hour session to work on a piece later on. So I find if I chunk them out and break them up, I stay fresh mentally and I can keep going. Okay. Oh, Kiwi, goodbye. Gaith. I'm joining from Baghdad, Iraq. Wow, hi, welcome. What time is it for you? My glasses are crooked. Okay, how does it work, clarinet player? Somebody said the academy. Oh, fun, the academy. It was really fun, the Clarinet Academy, if you're asking about that, or if you're asking about the session on Sunday. So the warm-up session on Sunday, I will add a link to the description in here. If you go to the YouTube page, there's a tiny little video that's talking about the weekend warm-up with a link on that where you can click in there. You can Google ICA plays on, and then you can, for Clarinet, the International Clarinet Association, and that should take you to the landing page there, and you can get the link from there, but I'll put it in here as well. If I was really together, I would have had that link ready for you guys to go right now, and then I just would have added it real fast. But if anybody looks it up and they find it before me, please share it with everybody in the chat. Are there any free tuner apps? I do not know. If there are free tuner apps out there and any of you know, please put it in the chat. I do know there's some great tuner apps that you have to pay for. Tonal Energy, I believe, is $3.99, and you can't go wrong with that. That's absolutely incredible. And if that's something where your parents, if you're in a situation where you have parents that help you with purchasing things like this, consider this an educational purchase. You know, it doesn't hurt to write a proposal. Some parents are really down with that. But for $3.99, you get a tuner and a metronome, and it's absolutely fantastic. You even get a drone in there. When I was in college, for me to buy a tuner was about $30. And one of the tuner apps that I use a lot that I love is a strobe tuner. And it is $9.99 for a strobe tuner app on my phone. and it would have cost $500 to buy a strobe tuner when I was in college because we didn't have this kind of technology. So for $3.99 or for $9.99, it's a great buy. The other thing to think about is that if you were to buy a book, like an etude book, a lot of people just buy textbooks or etude books and they don't balk at that. When I was working with students, I would have a music activity account and I would just go ahead and buy all their pieces and their music from that. And nobody thinks twice about $15 for a book. But boy, when you get a tune, when you have to pay for an app that's $3.99, everybody goes bananas. So it's just something to think about. Well, also, we want to support these creators just like we want to be supported as musicians. Let's support these programmers that are making these apps too. Okay, all right, that's a great one. Okay, so the one on Sunday, that's the one I was talking about. That's the International Clarinet Association ICA plays on. So if anybody gets that link and puts it in the chat, that would be super helpful, and I will do it later. And then Clayton says something. Clayton, it looks like and then TQ. Edgar, I'm going to send you a greeting, and I'm sending it to you now because you said please. It's nice to hear from you. Mike says there are many free tuner apps, so great, check that one out. My suggestion is to read the reviews very, very carefully to make sure you're getting a good quality tuner app. For a while, there were a lot of free metronome apps out there that were terrible. Like, they weren't steady beats, they weren't accurate. It was insane because you would think it would not be difficult to make a solid metronome app, but it was very, very challenging. So just make sure that you're getting a good quality one. Plus, if anything, Tonal Energy has a hilarious Twitter account. Okay, moving on. How can I light the school on fire? Edgar, let's talk about lighting the school on fire. Now, if you want to light the school on fire with your clarinet playing, I suggest that you learn the Francais Concerto or the Hinastera Variations. They are excellent. You'll be able to play so fast that fire will be flinging from your fingertips and the whole school will be burning down and everybody will be like, man, listen to that guy go. Flight of the Bumblebee also works for this, but I suggest the clarinet variation of the Hinastera Variations. That's the one you want to go with. Next question. And then Edgar likes cocaine. We've got a whole bunch of fun stuff happening here with Edgar. Edgar, I'm going to start skipping your comments from now and go to more constructive ones as well. Don't do drugs, kids. By the way, doesn't cocaine eat your whole nostril out and then you can pull a tissue in between? That is not going to work well for us as clarinet players. Okay, Isaac says, my teacher gave me a metronome and tuner for free. Very nice. I hope you sent your teacher a very nice thank you note. That was very, very lovely. Tyler says, I use Bandmate Chromatic Tuner app and it works pretty good. It was free. Thank you, Tyler. Excellent. Clarinet player. On my phone, you look up the app to metronome and it's good. Okay, wonderful. We're getting good ones and free. Michael Bryan says Sound Corset is a free download tuner and metronome. Excellent download from the Play Store. And then Clayton is LMAO. See, you almost got me. I almost said a bad word. So that is our bunch of questions in here. Google also, that's true actually. I've used the Google metronome for sure, and that's a free metronome. Google has a lot of great free stuff. Sometimes I'll just go, have you guys done the math problems in there yet? I haven't been in any kind of math class in, let's say 25 years. And if I had the option of just putting an equation in Google, that would have been a huge temptation for me. But yeah, Google. And the other thing with Google, and I'll say this once and then I'll go read some more questions, is I remember when Google went public. I know there's people on here that can remember this too. Mike, I'm calling you out. You probably remember this. But when it went public, I was like, who would ever invest in this? This is a terrible idea. I would be completely funded clarinet teacher right now. Okay, so any tips on the higher octaves for playing? Sometimes I go too sharp. Oh, that's a great one. Usually people go flat. So the higher octaves when we're playing the clarinet. Now, I want to know more details about your higher octaves. So if it's higher octaves, just register key in the clarion range to tune with your embouchure and the techniques I'm going to talk about. But if you're talking about your altissimo range, right, when we get up here, the C sharp D, D sharp E, F sharp G, things like that, those aren't so hard to fix. I mean, it's a big pain and it's going to take a lot. You keep doing, you put the other one on your tuner. So, I'm going to lose my phone in a second. I have low battery, so I'm going to go quick because I might die. So one of the ways you can tune it is lowering this finger rate. Watch your pinky. Do not put your pinky down for the C sharp key. That'll be outrageously sharp, so you want to keep that off of there. Keep this a little closer. Make sure you've got a great embouchure, nice and pointy right here. Big open mouth, open on the inside so you have good voicing. Okay, you may need more support in here and more power in your air to lower the pitch. Now, if you're consistently sharp up there, you can pull out. I would go ahead and tune in other areas of the clarinet first, but you can pull out in your barrel a little bit. Check your mouthpiece. Sometimes mouthpieces are sharp, and sometimes reeds, if they're too hard, will make you sharp there as well. But the biggest thing for tuning is listening. Listen, 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 listen. So I mentioned that thing about the drones. That will help your intonation as well. So just keep listening and working on it. So earlier when we started this session talking about warm-ups, those would be the warm-ups I would recommend for you. Long tones in the altissimo range so that you can get the good intonation in there and you can work on bringing that pitch down. That was a good question. Okay, all right, so moving on. How can I have a better sound on the clarinet from Edgar? Okay, so related to what I was just talking about with the high range and playing in tune, one of the things that is the most important thing for us to have a beautiful sound on the clarinet is to actually listen to other clarinet players. Step one. So listen to other clarinet players that have sounds that you admire. So for me personally, I like Ricardo Morales, David Schifrin, Franklin Cohen, Eddie Daniels. I just love that beautiful dark sound. It's one of my favorite sounds in the clarinet. So I would listen to those men. Oh, where are the ladies in this whole thing? Anyway, I would listen to those clarinetists and I would get that sound sort of in my mind to get a concept mentally of what I wanted. So what's good, Edgar, about what you said is you want to get a better sound. So you already are one step ahead because you have something that you want that you've recognized isn't there. So you are currently playing with a sound you don't like. So let's talk a little bit about equipment. You're going to want to make sure that you're not playing on a stock mouthpiece. That is a big one to help with sound. So there's a lot of great mouthpieces out there that are very reasonable prices, like the Pine Polycrystal, the Clark Phobes Debut mouthpiece. There's a whole bunch of new Bakun mouthpieces out there that are like $126. I mean, the price is really good. If that's too high for you, then Pine Polycrystal is about $60. The Phobes Debut is about $35. So you're going to want to upgrade your mouthpiece. Check your strength of your reed. A lot of people are playing on reeds that are too soft for them, and then their sound is really spread and it's hard to control. So you might want to up your reed strength. That will help as well. Big one is your embouchure. So you want to control these corners here. Make sure your lip is firm, but you can have a little squishy there, and that chin pulled down. Long tones, long tones, long tones, long tones, long tones. You want to play nice, slow, long tones. If you can come to the session on Sunday, I'll give a lot of warm-up examples, but my favorite one for long tones, I have it up on Musescore, and I really should do a video of this one, is to play an E, and then go up to the F, and then back down to the E, and then to the E flat right there, and you're just going to work on matching those sounds together, and then you expand it by half steps. So instead of going to F, you go to F sharp. So E, F sharp, E, D, E. And you're going to get to a B on the top and an A on the bottom. So it's an expanding warm-up, so you're going to listen to match that pitch. The other thing, and I'm going to move to the next question, is listen to the sound between the notes. Another great way to practice getting a beautiful sound is playing thirds. You want to listen to that sound in between, no finger drags. Like that. So you want to avoid that. You don't want to have any grunts or spaces in there. Like that, I'll hear that. You want it very smooth and connected. And I do that by supporting. I'm just supporting with my abs and I'm driving that air through the clarinet. That really, really helps. But don't forget the ends of the notes and the in-between spaces of the notes too. That can really affect your sound. Then, lastly, good clean articulations. That also affects your sound. Great question. Is it a good idea for a beginner to learn by playing some songs from YouTube, which is not easy to do, or do you recommend some basic lessons? Gaith, I hope I'm saying your name wrong. Right. No, I don't want to say it wrong. I want to say it right. So I hope I'm saying it right. My recommendation, that's a great question. Give me a second to think about it. Especially because you tapped into what I do. I actually make the song tutorials for clarinet players, and I specifically did that for what you're talking about. So this channel is created from your question, actually. I had students that were coming into lessons about 4 or 5 years ago, and they had watched some YouTube videos, and they said they learned it on YouTube, and it was a disaster. I was so upset about their habits. Like, they had these just terrible fingerings and all these bad habits. So I said, don't watch YouTube anymore. Don't go to YouTube. And then they kept doing it. It's like trying to stop a train, you know? I mean, it's here, we're here, YouTube's here to stay. So that's why I created my tutorials. So if you go and watch them, and for anybody here that's watched them, I talk a lot about the fundamentals in them. You want to have that good hand position. You want to have a good embouchure. So everything I've been saying already today, I say that in all the little tutorials. So my suggestion with yours is, if you can take lessons, definitely take some lessons. I recommend that for everybody. One, it's really nice to have that personalized feedback, right? So if you were my student right now, you would be sitting across from me, and you would play something, and then I could hear you, and I could see you, and I could give you feedback right then and there. So that's always our first and best choice, if you can take private lessons. And if you can't, there are so many great YouTube channels out there with really good fundamental mini lessons. Michael Lowenstern has some good ones. The Virtual Clarinet Academy has some good ones. I think Cali Clarinet has some good ones. So there's some really, I have some. So there are good ones for working on different techniques. But if you can get to have a lesson, even if it's online, even if it's a virtual lesson, just a couple to get started, that's great. I used to be one of those teachers that would say, commit to lessons for long term, right? Start with me in September and make it to May. And I love teaching that way, because you really get to work with that growth of that student over a long period of time. But there's also the opportunity to take lessons with somebody as a 1 or 2 off, kind of lesson, like, hey, listen, I've got this thing I really want to work on, or can you help me just get started? So if you can do that, that's great too. So don't feel pressured into staying long term with a teacher. I mean, ideally, it's the best way to go, but financially that can be difficult. So if you can get at least a couple lessons, that's really good. I hope that answers your question. Edgar wants the Plants vs. Zombies score. Is it the one where I did the arrangement, the clarinet choir arrangement? I will see if I can dig that one up. You're going to have to bother me a little bit. When people ask me in the live streams, I tend to forget. So you can send me an email if I haven't gotten to it in a decent amount of time. For those of you that don't know, I have a Musescore account, so I share a lot of my arrangements and my files up there. So I have exercises there and arrangements there, and I don't have Plants vs. Zombies up, and that was a fun one to play. Okay, thank you, Gaith. Clayton, not really a clarinet related question, but what is your way to remember minor scales? Oh no. Oh, it's my great weakness. Clayton caught me. Okay. My great way, my best advice for remembering minor scales is to look at the sheet music. I am, as much as I am a kinesthetic learner, I'm also a visual learner. So for the minor scales, I'm one of those people that actually sees music sometimes in my mind. I don't know if any of you are like that on here. So first, for me, it's feeling the music and feeling the emotions that I get from the music, but then it's kind of seeing it. So I'm one of the people that likes to look at the sheet music and learn it from there. So I'm going to tell you how I learn scales, Clayton, since you asked. Now, there are different ways to memorize minor scales that have to do with music theory. Okay, so remember to lower the third and then raise the 6th and 7th scale degree when you're going up, and then lower them back down on the way down. And that is great. That, for me, is more mental gymnastics, actually, than just flat out memorizing the scale. So here's how I go about memorizing the scale. I have the scale sheet in front of me. I look at the key signature, and I look at the accidentals. Then I go through the fingerings and I say the note names out loud. So let's just do C major for fun. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and then back down, okay? Then I don't look at the music to do that, okay? So then I do it memorized. And then I play the scale with the music, and then I play the scale memorized. If I make a mistake at any one of these step. So that's how I work on scales. Once I can play it memorized, then I have a little abacus. It's like a pipe cleaner with beads on it, and then I'll say, all right, I'm going to get it 3 times in a row. And I get it 3 times in a row without any mistakes, and I put it away. And then the next day I'll go for 5 times. And then the next day after that I'll go for 10 times. But if I make any mistakes, I have to go right back to the drawing board and fix that scale. I'm a huge advocate for very efficient practicing. Practice doesn't make perfect, practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes progress. Think about it that way. So we're always going to be making mistakes, and then we have to go back and fix. So that's how I learn scales. So I don't have a fancy way of doing minor scales. That's a little bit different, but there are plenty of people out here that do. So that's an excellent question. Thank you. Okay. Not really. Okay, have you done a tutorial in Pirates of the Caribbean? I have not done a tutorial in Pirates of the Caribbean. It's on the list. So I have something up on my website, which is you can bump a song to the top of the list for $15. I make the arrangements, I give you a shout out, and then it'll be, I'll do that within the next 2 weeks. But, and I'll tell you guys here because we're here together now, I'm working on putting together a Patreon page, and that will be one of the options on the Patreon page too. For one of the tiers is to have a video of your choice. I can record it for you and bump it up to the top of the line. So they're always free. You can always ask me for any kind of song tutorial or technique video. It's just I have a huge list. Like I have 85 songs on the list, and that's a lot of songs. So I will get there, but if you want it sooner, there's ways to get there also. Okay, thank you. That's a great one. I have a ProTech Slimline ProPet case and love it. Oh, somebody asked about cases. I must have missed that one. Yeah, I have, so if we're asking about cases, I have this one. I have a ProTech little one, this little blue one I've had forever. And then my double case is a BAM case, which I like. My bass clarinet is a BAM case. There are a lot of people that have case companies. I mean, there's tons of cases out there, and they're really fun. So, yeah, actually, I would love a little backpack, like the little single backpacks. Those are my favorite whenever I see those. Okay, where are my arrangements? Oh, they're on Musescore. So let me see if I can be fancy here and pull up some links for everybody. And so then I can put it in the chats. So I have a Musescore page, and I have arrangements there. And Mike, you're also one of the ones that's been asking me for questions about pieces and arrangements. And I am really not the best at getting to these things as efficiently as I should. So I'm pulling up my Musescore page, and so you can go there and look at it. Actually, if you go to my YouTube account, each one of the videos, I have links to everything in it, and there's a link to the Musescore page in there as well, because when I pull it up on my computer, it's just sending me to my dashboard, so I have to do a little bit more work to get that link for you, but I will put it in the chat. Okay, write your email address, please. I will. How can I improve higher scale? Is it better to use reed size 1, or can you help me with tips to practice? So that's FFZ. I definitely, okay, first of all, real quick, Tyler, your question about the alternative fingering for E just got flagged by YouTube, which is hilarious because I don't know why that would be a problem. I'm putting my email address in here. And then the question about the reed strength, FFZ, are you actually saying you use reed size 1, a size 1 reed? I really need clarification on that because I didn't even know they made reeds in size 1. So usually I tell people to start with a 2.5. Occasionally I get people that have a 2 reed, and I usually bump them up to a 2.5 pretty quickly. The only person I've known that's used the 2 reed successfully is Marie Ross when she was doing a clinic with me on historical clarinets, and she uses 2 reeds. But these clarinets, some of them are 200 years old, so they used different reeds back then. Okay, so Armel Cooper says, oh, they said a bad thing. I'm going to hide that one. Oh, I guess I'm a real YouTuber now. Now I'm getting bad stuff. Okay, so definitely try going up a reed. That will help you with a reed strength because that will absolutely help you with playing better in the altissimo range. Links in the description. Yes, thank you so much for Isaac. Sometimes I ramble on trying to say things. It takes me a while to get there. Okay, so I have another one. Okay, so Tyler, is there an alternative finger for altissimo E? This one here? Right there? Yes. There is a Ridenour book for altissimo fingerings. It's fantastic. I highly recommend it. And I had a student recently that was working on the Artie Shaw concerto. So there's a lot of high notes in there, and he was saying the Ridenour website has a lot of fingerings. Off the top of my head, I can't think of any because I really use this one the most for E, but I can tell you for sure there are other fingerings there. So check out, just Google Ridenour fingerings and see. And it's Ridenour is Ridenour, and see if you can find some there. And if I have time, I can go into my closet of doom and see if I can find my Ridenour book for you. So then Clayton says, Jason Alder told me to say hi the next time I join your stream. Tell Jason I say hi. It was just his birthday. So that's so nice. Aw, Jason, he's really nice. It's a bummer that we didn't get to see each other at Clarinet. Cancel it. Okay. Oh, you have a G clarinet. Oh my gosh, that's the best. Okay, so FFZ, I really just want to say, you probably do some of that wonderful Middle Eastern or Arabic clarinet playing that I'm in love with. I follow all these people on Instagram and I watch their videos, and they're amazing and they're super popular. Like, some of these videos are slick. I am really into what's going on. You may need, and I've never played a G clarinet. I really want to. So try going up the half strength and see if that helps you get to your goal of being able to play the high notes better, for sure. But the other one really is working on that embouchure. I want to know more about the clarinet playing that you guys do over there, because it's really, really good. Really just gorgeous. So beautiful. So, just so many notes. There's so many notes. It sounds so good. So yeah, your style is a little different. I know jazz players also play on lighter reeds too. Check your mouthpiece too. So if you're not reaching your goals with the reed changes and embouchure changes, you may want to double check what's going on with your mouthpiece also. Okay. Okay, thanks so much. Oh, you're welcome. And then Tyler says, okay, thank you. All right, so that was a fun live stream. So what I'm going to do, oh, right, okay. The link is in the description right now. The Musescore link is right there. And unfortunately, I did not put in the other link for the International Clarinet Association. So I will put that information. Wow, I just tried to get you that Musescore link, people, and it did not work. I'm going to try one more time. I have another way to copy it. But you know how sometimes you copy a link and it can be like a bazillion letters and it's super scary looking? That is what just happened. So there's my Musescore one. I don't know why it's got red stuff on it, which is weird. But anyway, so it's basically just the Clarinet Project at Musescore. And then for the International Clarinet Association one, I'll just type that in the chat, what to look for. So it's ICA plays on with an exclamation point, and I'm doing the weekend warm-up. But you do have to register via Zoom to get in there. And all the people that said the bad things that I had to block, I don't want you to register. Don't go. All right, I have one more question, and then I'm going to sign off. Okay, so Clayton says, Sai, when people say that bass or contrabass is a saxophone. So Clayton said, when people say the bass or the contrabass is a saxophone, don't you feel so sad for those people? And aren't you just a little bit confused? Because the only resemblance is just that curve of the neck and maybe the curve of the bell at the bottom, but everything else is clearly not a saxophone. And God bless my sweet mom, and my mom and dad were amazingly supportive of me. I'm so grateful to them. Because of their support, I got to be a musician. They drove me to clarinet lessons that were really far away. They paid for the clarinet lessons. They helped me through graduate school. But my mom thought a soprano saxophone was a golden clarinet, and she would refer to it as the golden clarinet. And Kenny G played the golden clarinet. And when I auditioned for Juilliard way back when I was in high school, my mom went to the gift shop and she picked up a soprano saxophone pin, and she's saxophone. And my mom said, no, it's not. It's a golden clarinet. I should know because my daughter plays the clarinet. She's auditioning for Juilliard right now. And the cashier says, no, that's a soprano saxophone because I go to Juilliard right now and I play the clarinet. And my mom said, well, you're wrong. And then she bought it, and then she gave it to me. And I said, thanks for the soprano saxophone pin. And she said, we can't return it. And that is my story. So Clayton, thanks. I feel the pain with you. Okay, so Michael O'Brien says, thank you for sharing your knowledge with us. Oh, thank you, Michael. That's awesome. And then Clayton says, oh no, XD, I can tell where this is going. Oh, I don't know. There must have been something that happened that I missed. Oh no, unless it was what I was saying. All right, thank you everybody for coming today. I am so happy to be doing the live streams again. I took a little bit of break. They are going to be sporadic over the summer. I'm not going to have a set schedule just because if I have the opportunity to go on vacation to nowhere with my mask on and socially distanced, I will take it. So hopefully I can try and have somewhat of a better schedule, but it won't be as consistent as it was this spring. I'm happy to have all of you here. I'm very excited that I get to do this YouTube channel. I will be releasing the Patreon information if you are interested on July 1st, because if I released it now and you joined now, you would get charged twice. You would get charged for June and July, so I'm just waiting. So if you're curious about what Patreon is, you'll be hearing more about it in the next coming days. But it's just a way to support creators for doing YouTube channels or podcasts or things like this. But you don't have to support me at all. You guys support me already just by coming to live streams and watching my videos, and I'm very grateful. So thank you very much. Have a lovely weekend. Stay safe and keep practicing. Bye. I'm trying to turn it off. There it is.